It's a pleasure to have you with us today. As a former Additional Solicitor General of India, you have represented the government in some of the country's most significant cases, standing at that crucial intersection between law, policy, and constitutional responsibility. Having seen governance from up close, your insights on how institutions balance power, accountability, and constitutional principle will add great depth to this conversation. On that note, sir, I would like to put forward the first question that we have for you today, which is related to judiciary's role in democracy. In disputes involving governors, election laws, and state bills, courts increasingly act as arbiters of political conflict. Do you think the judiciary's expanding role in resolving political standoffs indicates institutional failures elsewhere or a necessary assertion of constitutional supremacy?
See, I think first of all, it's very clear our democracy has set up different pillars of constitution, and judiciary is one of the pillars, and I take this as arbiter of the final adjudicator of any dispute arising out of the executive actions or the political decision which is there. So I think that's a constitutional position which has been given. What my personal view is, I think across the board, all these institutions are reflection of our societies which have grown over a period of time. So I fundamentally see that in last few decades, there is some compromise in the functioning of all the institutions, which is also reflected in the society as a whole. Now, who's going to play more role or less role can be a debatable question. Once the constitution has given judiciary a final arbiter position, so therefore role is very clearly defined. Now, more or less again depends on the fairness of the functioning of other institutions, and if we ask if the political institutions, including the elections commissions and other bodies, are correctly functioning, largely because the way the polity is being conducted, the disputes are arising. As a result, the judiciary is seen more playing greater role than usual, and that is the outcome of a conflicts arising out of the other institutions which are functioning. The one aspect which possibly I can say is a bit of concern is that the judiciary broadly is brought into picture when the dispute reaches the court. So I have not seen the suo moto in these kind of cases. Judiciary steps in and they want to play a role. It's only that the moment the matter reaches the judiciary, they do. One aspect which I think possibly there can be a little restraint by judiciary is that confining the outcome to a dispute which has gone to them, rather than crossing certain lines in certain situation where there can be a multiple allegation of saying that possibly there is a overstepping of that aspect. That's the only thing which possibly I can see, that there can be a certain curtailment on that aspect. But other than that, I think it's a very constitutional structured position which judiciary is playing its role. Restraint can be one aspect I would say on that front.
Right. All right, so with that, we move forward to a second question, which is basically on tax sovereignty and investor confidence.
Yeah.
Sir, in a discourse on the constitutional framework of tax laws held in 2023, you spoke elaborately about India's evolving tax structure and the challenges of a borderless economy. In that context, how do you see the state balancing its sovereign need to widen the tax base with equally crucial goal of maintaining investor confidence and predictability in India's tax regime?
See, I think any economy which is the capital strived or the foreign capital dependent economy, which India is, today for Indian GDP to grow at 8, 9%, 9%, 10% for next 20 years, to uplift the large section of society which is below a certain line, we need a continuous growth. And for that continuous growth, it is very clear that we need a foreign capital. Foreign capital is generally enters into any country based on your policies and your bilateral or multilateral arrangements which you have entered into, like a tax treaty which Government of India has signed, or bilateral investment treaties in form of investment treaties which have been signed. One is the assurance of predictability and continuity is very important, and that's true for everyone, which I certainly say that there should be a clear policy on tax structuring, tax investments which the investors are going to bear. That aspect is extremely important for the capital to come and consequently the GDP to grow continuously. Second aspect is that it's in fairness that even the domestic taxpayers or the domestic businesses, they should also have a continuity on that aspect, that and a predictability most important, because today the businesses which generate income or they generate capital, they should have clarity on this, what their liabilities are going to be. I'm in favor of a predictability and a continuity of policies which are there. So far as the knee-jerk reactions which are sometime taken in tax policies, I'm absolutely against those knee-jerk reactions, because these are a very short-term gains one we look at. That all right, the tax rate has gone from X promise to Y promise. Those should not happen. These are very short-term goals. For any nation to grow, the predictability and a continuity of policy is extremely important factor, and especially in light of the fact that we are capital importing country. It's the responsibility of a sovereign nation that there should be a faith in your tax system by anybody, whether it's a domestic investor or a foreign investor.
Right, right. Absolutely, I agree with that point of view, that predictability is pretty much important.
Absolutely,
to have a structured tax regime. If we talk about our constitutional or our legal regime, much of it is rooted in the colonial mindset.
Right.
We are actually now trying to unfold that particular colonial mindset of be it books, be it people, be it practitioners, be it the terms and terminologies that we usually use in the court, or our general practices. How do you see this event helping us to put our constitutional basics, fundamentals above the colonial mindsets that we have been rooted into?
See, two, three things which are important. One is, I think our constitution, I believe, is the framework which is a collective constitution from multiple jurisdictions. And over a period of time, courts have said that this constitution is a good document, an evolving document, which means it can organically grow with the requirement of times. And courts have also appreciated that it's not a static document, and we can read and interpret this document as per the needs of time, and it's being done. And the classic case is if we look at the concept of fundamental structure of the constitution argument which has been raised, that you can't destroy the structure of the constitution even by making the amendment of the constitution. I think that's an evolution which has emerged over a period of time, and the fundamental structure cannot be changed even by amending the constitution. That principle is there. So far as the role of our thinkers and spiritual thinkers is concerned, I think is more functioning of the institutions which are coming under the constitution, that morality, truth, fairness, these principles can be inculcated in the way these institutions are functioning, and some role certainly can be given. We don't need to essentially to be dominated by saying that how the foreign institutions are functioning, whether it's the Election Commission, whether the Reserve Bank of India, whether the financial institution or the Human Rights Commission, and so on and so forth. These aspects, certainly the spiritual thinkers in the processes can play a very important role, and we need not necessarily be all the time guided by what the foreign institutions think, or the foreign bodies are looking and solving the problem of these areas. There I certainly see the domestic thinkers and the domestic spiritual leaders can certainly play a role on the functioning of these institutions, which are for governance of the society. Certainly that is required, I also feel so.
Right, right, sir. All right, with that, we have some constitutional one-liners.
Sure.
That is like a rapid fire round,
Yeah.
where we would like to have your instinctive thoughts. So the first one being, if the constitution were written today, do you think it would still look the same?
No. I certainly see that it is going to be a very different, because today with the change of time, I think the set of people who wrote the constitution doesn't exist.
Right.
So I certainly see that it would have been governed in today's time more on the connectivity of global nations rather than what at that point of time, because India was very young when this constitution was there, and India became India at that point of time because a lot of kingdoms came in. Today I think certainly any constitution, I would prefer, if today somebody says suggest a constitution, then more participation of the countries which are also playing a very important role in the functioning of other countries should be involved in the constitutional function, rather than the bilateral and multilateral we need to run after each country separately. That aspect certainly should be captured in today's time.
Right, right. So coming to the next question of the same segment, if you had to describe the Indian Constitution in one word, would it be flexible, sacred or unfinished? I would repeat, would it be flexible, sacred or unfinished?
Flexible.
Flexible.
And that's what the courts have said. The moment we say it's a living document moving with time, it's flexible. It can grow, it can curtail, it can cut short, it can improve. And that's what the courts have said. And that's right also, because constitution, any country who has come up with a constitution every 5th year or every 10th year, something seriously wrong, which means that no rule book is followed over a period of time. We are very fortunate in a country like India. Our rule book, this constitution, has been followed for more than 70 years. Courts, who are the custodian of this constitution, said that we will change with time. I think that's a very, very big thing. And I think today, in whatever India position in when we look at the rule of law point of view, and constitution and the way the constitution has been understood by the custodians is something which is coming out, and that's why I say it's flexible.
Right. With that, we come to the last question.
Sure.
Which is, do you think the basic structure doctrine protects democracy or it limits Parliament's democratic will?
It protects democracy for sure, because you know the times change, democracies change, the political parties change, the ruling parties change. But if the constitution gives itself the power and the performer of the constitution or the executor of the constitution, that is the Supreme Court, thinks that the basic structure, which means that the constitution includes everything, whether it's a fundamental rights or duties, or you can include anything, that should be sacrosanct, and that even the constitution can't amend, then the parliament can't be given the unbridled power to say that you modify and rule with, because that's going to be too dangerous if we don't really respect this doctrine.
Correct, correct. Yeah. Absolutely, sir. With that, we close our question session. How do you see your conversation with His Holiness, whose wisdom draws from a 2,500-year-old lineage, shape your view of law and ethics?
See, I think although the conversation was too short, but I think the one thing, the takeaway I can say for sure is that he was very clear on the first principle, that the truth should prevail, there should be a morality, and there should be a fairness in the humanity, then only the world will survive. And as a person coming from the ecosystem where the judicial system functions, all three aspects are extremely important for the functioning of any democracy and any society to move forward. So I think I'm absolutely clear in my thought that what he's thinking is certainly is to be imbibed by all these institutions and the functioning of a democracy. That certainly is a way forward for this, because we are seeing too much of intolerance all around. Globally we are seeing, the suffering we are seeing. So I think the truth, fairness, morality are the principles where the society should be built on, and reflection will certainly come in the judicial side as well. That's what my outcome of the conversation with His Holiness is.
That's amazing, sir.
Yeah.
It was brilliant having a conversation with you. Thank you so much for sparing time.
Thank you
for
so
us.
much. Absolutely a pleasure, and thank you very much for having me here. Thank you.
Thanks.